to Commanding on a Budget. Today's budget pick is Fire Shrieker. This uncommon from the Mirrodin block recently saw a reprint in M14, making it even easier to get. Fire Shrieker makes your big guys even scarier and doubles your when this creature deals combat damage triggers. Today we'll take a look at Jenara, Asura of War, submitted by Elliot. This deck is based around the core colors of Jenara, which are Bant. Blue serves to give card draw and a level of control. White gives exile removal as well as token generation. These two colors combined give access to the blink mechanic, which re-triggers any enter the battlefield effects your creatures have. Green ramps and removes pesky non-creature permanents. Combined, these colors can deal with most permanent types and generate a ton of card advantage through the synergy between white and blue's blink effects and green's strong base of creatures with enters the battlefield triggers. This deck can be built for about $45. First, let's discuss the ramp. There's no such thing as too much land in this deck, since Jenara acts as a great sink for excess mana. Cultivate and Kadama's Reach, ramp and card advantage in one cheap package. Rampant Growth, a classic ramp spell. Urban Evolution, Divination plus Explore, it's everything a Simic player could want. Abundant Growth, cheap mana fixing that replaces itself with a card. You'll never be sad to draw it. Core Cartographer and Ondu Giant. These two ramp efficiently and can be blinked for additional value. To control the board and keep it from getting out of control, there are multiple creature spot removal spells. Bant Charm usually tucks your opponent's commanders, but you'll end up using the other modes more often than you'd expect. Condemn is a cheap way to tuck aggro commanders. Banishing Stroke, another tuck spell that can also remove problematic artifacts and enchantments. Oblivion Ring is an easy answer to non-land permanents that might be troubling you. Journey to Nowhere will remove creatures that are problematic. Luminate Primordial. This guy recruits farmers like nobody's business, beating swords into plowshares for each of your opponent's most threatening creatures. Phyrexian Ingester, duplicate with a bonus. Quickly takes over the board in combination with a blink effect. Fiend Hunter, good removal that works well with the instant speed blink. If you flicker Fiend Hunter while its first ability is still on the stack, the second ability will resolve first, returning nothing, and then the first ability will permanently exile a creature. Krasis Incubation, an arrest that can be bounced and moved around if need be. Next we have a few mass removal spells for when spot removal just isn't enough. Aetherize helps deal with tokens and attacking hexproof generals. Cyclonic Rift. Whether you're playing defense or offense, this will help you get closer to winning. You can use it to clear out blockers or wipe out aggro rushes, but either way, it'll send your opponents back to the Stone Age. Hour of Reckoning, a budget board wipe that synergizes well with the token producers in the deck. Sunblast Angel burns out aggro decks and becomes nasty when paired with instant speed blink, threatening reprisal against anyone who declares an attack. Ixodron, the closest thing to a Wrath in blue, deals with indestructible and hexproof threats easily and puts opposing commanders in an awkward position. There is some non-creature hate in this deck because enchantments and artifacts can become an issue. Rain of Thorns destroys up to 3 of the most annoying permanents on the board and acts as an out to Torpor Orb, which is kryptonite to the deck's blink strategy. Sylvan Primordial shoots stuff and gets paid. If you can blink this guy just once a turn, he'll take over the game. Brutalizer Exarch deals nicely with non-creature permanents in a way that prevents recursion and doubles as a tutor. Acidic Slime, the poster boy for green enter the battlefield creatures. Terastodon destroys opponents' non-creatures and gives them useless 3/3s instead. This deck needs fuel to keep pumping the blinking action, so card advantage is essential. Vanish into Memory serves as both card draw and a blink spell. Hunter's Insight, simply amazing with Jenara, always netting you at least 3 cards for 3 mana. Creeping Renaissance helps rebuild after a board wipe, then does it again. Preordain helps out your early game and filters your draws. Praetor's Council generates massive card advantage and gives you an infinite hand size. It's a pretty good way to dig you out of a hole and turn a rough game around. Muldrifter gives you a nice 2 cards and can be blinked for more value. If you've got instant speed blink, you can evoke it and then blink it in response to the sacrifice trigger to save a little mana and earn some cool points. Sphinx of Uthun. Fact of Fiction is worth 4 mana. A 5/6 flyer is worth at least 6 mana. With the Sphinx, you're getting 10 mana worth of cards for only 7, and he's a great blink target as well. Soul of the Harvest draws a card whenever something gets blinked. Deadwood Treefolk. As a double Gravedigger, he's already pretty good, but you can pair him with a blink effect and he'll trigger twice per blink. Give and Take works great with Jenara, and if you're desperate, it can just be draw 3. Loaming Shaman works as hate against graveyard decks or lets you recycle your own graveyard. Obviously, a blink deck needs ways to blink the creatures. Conjurer's Closet lets you blink at the end of every turn. Minion Reflector gives you 2 enter the battlefield triggers for each creature, provided you pay the price. Gale Powder Mage lets you either blink out a blocker, or even better, blink one of your own creatures. Mist Meadow Witch. Repeatable blink for only 4 mana. Dead-Eye Navigator is probably the most broken card in the deck, giving you enters the battlefield triggers for the measly price of 2 mana. He's awesome no matter who you pair him with. Ghostly Flicker lets you blink 2 things and turns into an engine when used with Mnemonic Wall or Archaeomancer. Saving Grasp can save a creature or just let you recast something for value, and it has flashback. Voidwalk, a blink spell that you can cipher onto Jenara for more blinking fun. Proteus Staff is a very versatile engine. It tucks opposing commanders and allows you to cycle through the enter the battlefield effects in your deck. Clones work very well with enter the battlefield effects, and there are some really great budget copy effects. Clone and Vesuvian Shapeshifter let you copy a creature and get their enter the battlefield trigger. Also, blinking them allows you to choose a different creature with a different trigger. Cackling Counterpart gets even more triggers and has flashback. The instant speed is also incredibly useful, helping you catch your opponents with their pants down. Stolen Identity, a repeatable copy effect, generating tokens every turn until it gets disrupted. There are a number of other blink targets in the deck which help further control the board and gain advantage. Diluvian Primordial lets you steal spells from everyone and access abilities not normally in your colors. Mnemonic Wall and Archaeomancer let you bring back blink spells and draw spells, among other things, not to mention they can go infinite with Ghostly Flicker. Dungeon Geists locks down a creature. In order to find the creature you need at the right time, a number of tutors are required. Wild Pair lets you find creatures with the same total power and toughness. Wargate, an expensive tutor, but one that can be easily cast with a ramp in the deck. Fierce Empath. All the best creatures in the deck cost 6 or more, so it's like the restriction isn't even there. We've finally reached the win conditions. With Blink, there are many pathways to victory. Mirror Battlesphere and Tristani's Summoner give huge amounts of tokens. Great Whale. Together with Dead-Eye Navigator, it can give you infinite mana. You can then use that mana to add absurd numbers of counters to Jenara, or to repair the Dead-Eye Navigator with another enter the battlefield creature to trigger it an infinite number of times. Steel of the Godhead lets Jenara punch through to deal commander damage and also gives you a nice life buffer. Walk the Aeons. A budget extra turn spell that can give you the time needed to deal 21 damage with Jenara or combo off. It provides infinite turns with combined with Archaeomancer or Mnemonic Wall and a repeatable blink effect. Now for the lands. Alchemist's Refuge, New Benalia, Reliquary Tower, Sajiri Refuge, Greypelt Refuge, Selesnya Guildgate, Simic Guildgate, Azorius Chancery, Boreal Shelf, Arctic Flats, Selesnya Sanctuary, Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, 9 forests, 7 islands, and 8 plains. The non-budget acquisitions. Angel of Serenity can either remove creatures and then put them back to hand instead of the battlefield, or can act as graveyard recursion for you. Prime Speaker Zagana draws tons of cards off your fatties, especially if you have a huge Jenara. Venser the Sojourner is a constant free source of flicker. Progenitor Mimic. The only thing better than making copies are making copies of your copies. Avenger of Zendikar makes tons of tokens. Craterhoof Behemoth lets you turn all your guys sideways for a big damage finish. The deck's strengths. It doesn't rely too much on Jenara. The deck stabilizes easily. It adapts to your opponent's decks. It doesn't run out of steam easily. The weaknesses. There are very few ways to deal with hexproof creatures. It struggles against massive swarms of tokens. Has a hard time dealing with big creatures early on. Torpor Orb will shut this deck down completely. You should play this deck if you don't like to rely on your general, but enjoy using it as a win condition. You like controlling the board and interacting with your opponents. You like a wide range of win conditions. You love blinking creatures. Thanks to Elliot for sharing his Jenara list. Even though this deck is very cheap, it has some extremely powerful cards that can make you a contender at any table. This deck could be very mean or very goofy depending on your personal preference. Are there some cards you think are always unfun or unfair? Let me know in the comments section below, and as always, thanks for watching.